Hi, this is Jessica Dean. Today we're going to be talking with Kevin. Kevin is also what we like to call a repeat offender here at Sober Living. Kevin is actually he is on parole, and he has a little bit more to lose than most of our guys. Kevin, he's been here with us for about the last year and a half, coming in, getting straight, going back out. We like to joke and say that Kevin's got an expiration date, and it's about 6 to 8 weeks usually. Kevin he's gone out quite a few times behind some of the women in his life that he loved. Today, we have worked through a lot of those issues, and today he's working. He is a welder by trade. We just went to lunch the other day with his dad and his kids, me and some of the other girls in the office. Kevin's really putting in the work to get to where he needs to be this time. He has been with us quite a few times. And these last couple of times, like, you can just see God working in his life. You can see the miracles lining up, and you can see the light coming on in his eyes, in his head, in everything. And I know that if we didn't have Kevin here, Kevin probably wouldn't have anywhere to go to be sober and to be working on his foundation for his recovery. So this is Kevin. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Kevin Brown, 45 years old. This will be my third time. Third time to come to Wichita Falls Sober Living. And each time I come back, I stay a little longer and it gets better every time.
Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit? We're not going to go through all your saga and your sad stories and the places that you've been, but give us like a short recap of what you've gone over for maybe the last 20 years.
20 years. I was out in Florida for 20 years ago. I was in Florida. My mother had died of drug and alcohol overdose, accidentally, I believe. And so we sold the house. Didn't know what I was going to do with myself. My dad suggested, why don't you go do Harley Davidson mechanics out in Florida? And, I was supposed to be out there for a year. I ended up staying for 7 years. I loved it. Did good in a big city. And then eventually got back into a crack addiction that lasted almost 17 years. I was trying to outrun my addiction. I didn't realize how bad it was, exactly what I was dealing with, or what it was going to take to get through it. But thank God that was lifted from me.
So during those years of running, did your family stay and support you during those times?
Yes.
You have a pretty good support system with your dad.
Yeah.
Well, let's move forward a little bit. So Sober Living has known you, I guess, about 2 years, maybe. You've been, what was your term that you said you didn't like, repeat offender?
I like a residential slipper.
Residential slipper, yeah. You've been a residential slipper with us. The first time coming in, did you come in by yourself, or did you come in with a companion?
No, I came in by myself.
So the first time, tell me a little bit about being in the house. Which house were you at, and what was going on? Who was there?
I was in 1904, I believe, the first time. And it was good. It's a little bit crazy because we had two houses side by side. And so people would just come back and forth, like it was open house. And I didn't particularly care for that. And Sober Living at that time wasn't as grounded as it was. It was kind of by the seat of, the pants. But that was before Miss Burch, Jessica Dean, got in there and really started to turn things around. And so it was good, though. People were staying clean. And I don't know that I ever used there and had a dirty UA. What my deal is I was always trying to pick up catch up for lost time. I'm a welder. I've got the ability to make money fairly quickly. And so within 5 or 6 weeks, when I got some paychecks saved up, I was ready. I was in a hurry to catch up and always trying to get a place for me and my son. And that's what I did. But I waited for a woman, or try to move in, get somebody to move in with me. And I wasn't ready, and so I had to learn some lessons, go through some things. I tried to move out 3 times in the last year and a half, and it hadn't worked out. So I'm in no hurry to get my own place. I actually went through. Uh, I learned some tough lessons out there on the street when I left. A breaking point, and God did some work on me out there. What He didn't do, the street did. And so I came to a point where I'm at peace and ready to commit to this program. And when I came back this last time, I could already tell there was a big change, that something had gone on in these houses. The structure of it, the quality of the guys that were in there, the women. And I knew that I had to have integrity and step my game up, or these guys weren't going to let me be around. So, uh, next question.
Kevin, do you feel like sober living is any different from other programs that you've been in? I know you've been to Abilene. I think, have you been to the 180 House?
I've been to the 180.
So you've been to some other programs, and we don't claim to be the best out there, obviously, but we do claim to love y'all. Is there anything that you can say that's different between us here in Wichita Falls and other programs you've been in?
I've been to some long-term Christian programs. Life Challenge the first time. That's a whole other thing. 20 months in a Christian program out in Florida, and I learned a lot of good things. But sober living has been different. The 180 is good also. It's co-ed, but it's founded. It's been there for a long time, structured, and it's run the same way for for years. And so what I like about sober living is it's a tighter family. It's a very close knit family. Uh, very close contact with Jessica in the office and a group chat and everybody. And it's more manageable because the houses are smaller and we're not as big. But I like the freedom of the program as far as, they let us work. We get to keep our paychecks. If we need accountability or help, it's there. We have resources. Jessica's done a ton of work uh, to get us connected with churches and people and resources, and she does a lot of things with the legal system that I don't even know about. But if I ever need something, she says I got it. So I might have lost track a little bit about what the question was. Um, what I like about the program, um, I don't know. I like the home setting. With the house that I'm in is a good group of guys, and we all want to be there. So it's a safe place for me. You know, you gotta forgive me, I'm a crybaby. When I had spent 2 months in my car. Thanks. In Abilene, and it hurt. And I tried to help the mother of my kids, and I ended up relapsing. I had a good job, and it was cold. I spent some cold nights in that car, but there was a breaking point for me. And I kept thinking there would be days I was parked on the sidewalks, and I would just stare at the brakes all day. And sometimes I would sleep for several days and get up and want to drink. And then when I drank, I wanted to use, and then I was stuck staring at the bricks, and I thought, man, I felt immobilized, that I was cornered. I didn't have any choices. Messing parole up, didn't call my family, and I didn't know what to do. But anyways, I thought, I'm going to sit here and keep staring at these bricks until I'm staring at them in prison. And finally called Jessica. I knew I had to make a move. And she said, come home. And I did. And she's always been like that. You're just going to have to give me a minute to put myself together. But anyways, I came home, and I'd been in the car for 2 months, so my little world had shrunk, and my mind and everything, and I probably wasn't the most lovable, and I was opinionated. And so the first day she said, this at the end of the day, she said, this is not gonna work because I was just not listening and I didn't like her suggestions. And so I wasn't prepared to be back out on the street. And so I spent 4 days out on the street. I was supposed to see Parole and I called her early that morning and she said, get up here. And so we talked. And I said, if I'll go do 2 weeks at the Salvation Army, will you let me come to the program? She said, yeah. And so she called my parole officer and he said, I'll work with him if he's going to do that, if you're going to work with him. And so it was about 30 days before there was a bed available. There was a bed available, and I said, I'm stable. Give it to somebody that really needs it. And I was real close to getting a house again, doing the same old thing, but I felt like I was ready. And I had a small relapse. A relapse is not small, but I told on myself, I stopped it. I did not like being high. And, it was almost checkout time, and I hadn't called my John. Same little thing that I've done for years, and I called my parole officer. I told him I'm high, I'm in a motel, and I don't like it. And so I called Brandy at the office, and she said, "Get up here. I want to put my eyes on you. Make sure you're all right." And they gave me a bed. I hate that I cry so much. Anyways, it's been good. I keep a routine. I'm in bed by 8:30 every night. I go to work every morning. I get up at 3:45. Uh, and that's been good for me, and I've got my relationship back with my father and family is just starting to begin. And, I realize that money's not everything. I'm always been trying to catch up for the past from starting the clock over again. And I've dropped about 13 hours of overtime a week just so that I can invest in myself, have some downtime and balance, exercise, and take 2 hours off Monday, Wednesday, and Friday just to spend time with my son and connect with him. So, that's like $1,300 a month that I've chosen to drop to spend time with family because the time that I spend with him will never be forgotten. And so I thank God for Jessica and Sober Living. So I don't know who's going to be watching these videos or this video, but there's some guys that their lives are changing. There's some women that their lives are changing. And, worth invested in. And Jessica needs the help. Uh, I believe in what she's doing. And I just thank God for being here.
Kevin, what are your give me 2 short-term goals over the summer that we can follow up and make sure that you're hitting these goals? What are 2 goals that you have? I'm sure they have something to do with your son.
Yes. I just want to be his first love, and I want him to have my, I want him to have my influence in his life. My parents are getting older, and I think I'm a pretty cool person, good person. My son's cool, and I want him to have some of my characteristics. I'm proud of who I am today. I like who I am today. I treat people good, and so my goal in 6 months is to here shortly. I'm going to be going back to Abilene for 30 days just to get my CDL, and then eventually I want to go to TSTC to work on electrical substations, advance my career. About 9 months ago, I went to treatment at Red River for 30 days. Made some good plans there. Decided to go to Abilene, do something a little bit different. Then coming back to sober living, go down there to do outpatient, and I got a good job, and things worked good for a while, and then I had a relapse, and so the plans hadn't changed. Those were God-given plans. Just the timing has, but that's just a process that God had to do in my heart to get me ready for where I'm at. So really school and family. I want to spend every waking moment that I have right now with family. And that's a God thing that He's given that to me in my spirit. Just recently I tried to help the mother of my kids, and it didn't work. But I had joy through the whole thing. I mean, I gave her $200 one more, watched it blow out the window. It never fazed me. It never bothered me at all.
You put it in the visor.
And I put it in the visor, it blew out the window. She was hysterical, and I was completely at peace. And that's joy. And I had that today because of the decisions that I made, uh, the way that I live my life. I have peace of mind, I have integrity. I'm just trying to be the best man that I can be. And I think there's a big difference in picking up clean time and recommitting to reestablishing versus recommitting your life to Christ fully. It's a hard issue. And so the foundation is it just starts from a different place. You ever heard somebody say, can't get there from here? So I knew, I could have hid my relapse. I could have hid it from everybody, but my dad called at the motel room asking something, and I just told him, and I knew it would hurt him, but I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to cover it up. That's new, you know. So that's kind of like the last 6 months of my life. I figured that was enough because I've got a long story, and I just didn't know where to start. But I knew, uh, I don't know, I'm safe here and I'm staying. And I thank God for it because Wichita Falls really doesn't have any kind of recovery, especially that will take women in. Well, there is the Faith Refuge, but that's and Hope Center. Uh, but anyways, there's a big need in Wichita Falls for what we're doing. What Jessica's doing for sober living.
I have one question, Kevin. So we're at our new office now, and we're next door to Parole. We have a pretty cool parole officer who worked really well with Parole, federal parole probation. Okay, so if somebody right now is watching this, because I don't know why I feel this, but if somebody right now is watching this video and they've gone to prison and they get up every day and they think, well, I'm a felon, I can't do anything with my life. You think, oh, I can't get a job, I can't this, I can't that, I might as well stay high, I might as well stay drunk, because we see that every day. We see that time and time again in this program.
Right.
The fact is, I'm a felon. I'm on the dean's list at MSU. You're a felon. You make 5 times as much money as I do a week. There are things out there for people that feel like they've lost it all. So what would your one word of advice be to that person who does have a felony right on them, and they are struggling? What would I know we got to put in the work and that's what it takes, but in your words, what would your advice be to that person?
For me, it was exactly what Jessica told me, and I continue to do it. Stay close to the nest, And so I've got earbuds that I saturate myself in the Word, Christian comedians, motivational speeches, anything, music. I spend a lot of time under my welding hood and can think of all kinds of crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have time to sit down and read the Bible all the time. And I don't have to listen to the Word all the time. But there's so much good stuff out there, and so I stay connected with people that are in recovery. I live in a recovery house. People that are successful and out there doing their thing. Making it clean. And so, when I was in my car when I had a relapse down there. I had a prior relapse where I spent about 10 days in my car, and I felt myself shrinking. I said, I got to get out of this car and I got to move. And so there was an AA group that was open like 5 or 6 meetings in a day. So I just, I started hitting all those meetings. And it only took a few days before I started getting hope. And when that hope turned on, it was like a light switch. You know what I mean? But you got to stay plugged in. And that's the big part of a recovery community. When we get out there alone, there's just too much stuff that bombards, especially at first. But it's real manageable. The economy's good right now. There's so many good jobs. I mean, I ought to be a job coordinator because I can get some people some jobs, you know. So life is good out here. Got a lot of resources and a lot of people that'll help you. You know, and a lot of it is your mindset, you know. But I tell you that the easiest thing is being single. You know, having the wrong people in our lives uh, makes us lose control because we can't control what other people are doing. You know, and they will affect us heavily. So I choose who's in my life today. And just try to be the best me. You know, we went out there and got it, doing our thing on the street. You know, you can do it for God, and you can do it in the recovery. You know, in recovery, and be able to hang on to it and keep it. So my life's blessed, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like. You know, 6 months, a year. My sponsor told me, you stick around in a year, you won't believe where you're at. So I couldn't do it alone, for sure. So that's my story. Is there anything else you want to ask? Because I know we can edit.
It's touching already.
Yeah,
That's something moving forward. So,
I can't think of anything.
We'll check with you and see if you're hitting those goals this summer.
Yeah. So that's it. I appreciate it.